Hello everybody, I hope you are all doing well. So this is the last video I have remaining for my 2016 projects. This is the finale for my Pan That Palette mini edition. So I'm really excited to share my progress on these 3 palettes with you guys so then I can move on to my Project PanPorn, which I'm really excited for. So anyway, let's just dive into the palettes here. So I'll start with the Pure palette. This is the Soul Mattes palette. I really came to like this palette over the last few months. So this is what my palette looks like right now. As you can see, I have pan on 5 shades, 3 shades. I've used a little bit, but honestly not that much. So I'm pretty happy with this. I think I did pretty well just trying to hit pan on these shades. So I don't have any plans to put this particular palette in my Project PanPorn right now, just because these darker shades here are quite similar to the shades that are going to be in my Pan That palette, the MAC palette that I'll be showing you guys pretty soon. So I'm not planning on putting this guy in there, but I might come around to it again when I need some darker matte shades, because I really would like to see pan on all of the shadows in this palette. But I ultimately really did enjoy this palette. I love that it was all matte shades, and it's like true matte shades. There's not like a satin or anything in here. These are all matte. I really enjoyed using these sort of warm rosy tones a lot. I thought they were very, very flattering. I like the formula of these. They're a little bit stiffer than some matte eyeshadows I've used before. Like, they're not as creamy as Urban Decay matte eyeshadows, but they're not as powdery as, say, like a Kat Von D, which I'll talk about. So it's just kind of a good in-between. I'd say even MAC eyeshadows are a little bit stiffer than these guys, but MAC eyeshadows I think in general have a little bit more pigment, at least from my experience previously. That might change in 2017. But anyway, I did enjoy this, and I'm glad I still have some of these shades left, and I will just continue to work on them whenever I can. So let's just talk about the Kat Von D. So this is the Shade and Light Contour Quad in Sage. So I threw this in sort of last minute once I had hit pan on all of the Naked 2 Basics shadows. I thought, well, let's try something else. So this was virtually untouched when I put it in this project, and I've managed to hit pan on one of the shades. So I'm pretty impressed with that. I can see a bit of a dip starting on this large base shade here. I really couldn't use it as a base because it was too dark, but it was a decent transition shade. I didn't use the green or the gray that much, but this one I would use to set like my eyeshadow primer and stuff, so I liked it. I'm definitely not incredibly impressed with it though. I will say it's quite powdery. There's a lot of kickback from this. It's really easy to get a lot of fallout, especially with the darker shades, which is why I didn't use the green or the gray that much, because it would be a lot of fallout, and it was really hard to clean up because it's very pigmented. So you really do need just like a tiny bit of product, but just the amount of fallout was kind of crazy. And I've used and loved Kat Von D shadows before. You guys might have heard me rave about the My Vida Loca palette before, but maybe there's something different about that. That was limited edition. This is permanent. And I don't have the Shade and Light eye palette, the full-size one, so I can't comment on the similarities between the two. But this was definitely powdery and more in the realms of like my Urban Decay Naked 2 Basics, which was quite powdery as well and really prone to fallout. So not incredibly impressed, to be completely honest, with this particular shadow. Like, if these were the first Kat Von D shadows I tried, I would have been totally turned off by them and I wouldn't have wanted to try any more. But having tried other ones previously, I really do like them. So that's where I'm sort of torn. So I'm not planning on picking this guy up in the immediate future, but I will be trying to pan this sometime later on. And the last palette is the Becca Ombre Rouge palette. This is an absolutely gorgeous palette. Love it a lot. So I have pan on 4 of the shades, which I think is pretty impressive. I believe this is the only one I hadn't had pan showing as of my last update. So 4 out of the 5 shades, it's pretty good. This dark shade is beautiful, but I was really only using it very sparingly with the Vice LTD because it just wasn't very complimentary. Unlike these other shades, this shade, it is a bit of a satin shade, but I was using it in my crease because sometimes a satin shade in your crease gives this extra dimension, and I don't mind it. I've had a few experimentations with some satin and like somewhat shimmery shades in the crease over the last year, and I really enjoyed the look sometimes. It's just something different. I don't think that you have to necessarily follow the rules all the time when it's like you have to stick with matte shades in your crease. Why? You don't have to do that. Like, makeup has no real rules. You can do whatever you like. So that's how I was using that one, just like a little bit in the crease. It's not a very like pow pigmented color. It would just add like a little bit of something, but I always had to work with another shadow with it because it on its own didn't give me enough like definition to my eye. I've got a whole bunch of craziness going on right now. I used a mix of the Pure palette, the Becca Ombre Rouge, and then the MAC palette that I'm going to be panning in 2017. So I was just kind of having fun and playing around with sort of like burgundy shades because that's a hint. Anyway, I'm very happy with the progress that I made on this guy, and I really love the formula of these shadows. These ones are very creamy and pigmented, and they're some of the best eyeshadows, honestly, that I've used, just in terms of the pigmentation and how easily they are to blend, and there's not a whole lot of fallout, even with the dark shades. Now, obviously, if you pick up too much product when you're using a dark eyeshadow, you are going to get some fallout. I've never experienced an eyeshadow with zero fallout that's either very incredibly pigmented, like a bright shade, or something that's incredibly dark. I always get at least a tiny bit of fallout, but the difference between this palette and the Kat Von D one is insane. Like, this one is very little, a little fallout that I can easily remove and do my foundation later, while the Kat Von D one pretty much needs a makeup wipe when I would go in with that dark green shade. So there's a huge difference between that. So I really, really enjoy using this palette a lot, and I'm really glad that I got to give it some love over the last year, and I got to use it quite a bit with the Urban Decay Vice LTD palette. So very happy with that. The last shade I have remaining in this palette is very, very similar to a shade that is in the MAC palette, so I won't be reaching for that right now, but my plan is once I have panned that shade, then I will go back in with this one and hit pan on it. Like, that's sort of like a long-term goal, because I have no idea how long it's going to take me to pan these MAC shadows, but I'll get more into that in that intro video. I just wanted to wrap this up, finale, you know, show you guys the progress that I had made on these palettes, and just get ready to say hello to new things in 2017. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for all of your support over the last year and all of your encouragement and your suggestions for me to do this and to work on hitting pan as opposed to finishing shades. It's been really great to play around with a variety of different things instead of being so boxed in, and where I do have a lot of eyeshadow, it's been fun to play around with things that I probably wouldn't have otherwise if I had just been focusing on like panning one specific thing. And that's what I'm really looking forward to with the Project PanPorn, is that it's going to allow me to play around with not only my palettes but also my single shadows, like any quads or duos or trios that I have, things that I've been neglecting over honestly like the last year or so. I'm going to get a chance to use, and I'm really going to try and hit pan on as many shadows as I possibly can, but I will save more for that for the intro. So make sure that you are subscribed so you don't miss that. I have got a ton of fun new things coming at you very, very soon. If there's anything in particular that you would like to see me talk about first, make sure you let me know, because I will make that my priority. Otherwise, I'm just going to go through my list and start checking things off one by one. So anyway, once again, thank you so much, and I hope I will see you in my next video. Bye. I've had a few experimentations. I feel like I'm getting ready to tell some ghost stories. Get a hook for a hand. Shall not be named. Where is her nose gone? Nobody knows. I like pan porn and I cannot lie. You other panners can't deny. And then deep in the palette she's panning. I'm hooked and I can't stop staring. Oh baby, I want to get with ya and take a picture.